Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's vlog post. Uh, Rolling into December, things are really moving along by most accounts. We're seeing pretty good activity coming out of last weekend into this week. And I'm seeing, and again, this is just based upon the people that I talk to across the country, that the big increase is coming from people who are selling houses and buying the next one. So lots of trade ups, lots of people coming into the marketplace who have made a decision that their current situation isn't working for them as well as they would like, and they're going out there and looking for what is available to them. And I think it's really important that we pay attention to what's happening, and that we deal with the fact that there is this group of people who currently own where they live that are not happy, or not as happy as they could be with where they live, and would really entertain selling their house and buying the next one. And if you're not staying on top of that, if you're not talking to your people, if you're not taking this information and sharing it with your realtor referral partners, you're doing a disservice, because much of the information that is out there is old. Much of the information that the government puts out there are statistics and numbers that come from a month or two prior to where we're at. And many of the trends that happen, especially in real estate, aren't picked up, could be for months, if not, quarters down the road, where people go back and analyze the information, if they even spot the trend at all. So keep that in mind. Speaking of realtors, in my searches and my interactions on social media and mortgage professional pages, and seeing what they're talking about, plus the number of ads that seem to be coming through on social media, it appears that cold calling realtors is back front and center with these mortgage people. And quite frankly, probably because they never learned how to establish or build relationships. You got to remember, many of the mortgage people who are licensed right now in the industry right now have been in this industry strictly as a result of the refinance boom, lower interest rates, or they just completely forgot from 2 years ago how to establish and maintain a realtor relationship. But when I see these ads out there that are telling people and hyping the rewards of making 100 phone calls a day to agents, and in your market, making contact with them and building potential relationships, it's enough to give anyone pause to start asking a few questions before they get wound up in the hype. And I think that's one of the things that doesn't happen in mortgage and real estate a whole lot. I'm sure there's some person out there who started making 100 phone calls a day to realtors, and somehow or another tripped into a realtor in the middle of a loan meltdown, and they were able to step in and help that person out and maybe establish a relationship. But you have to start asking yourself some questions, about a strategy like that. And the first question I ask is, are there even 100 realtors in your market that are worth talking to? I'm not saying, are there 100 realtors? I'm saying, are there 100 realtors in your market that are worth talking to? And do you know who the people are and what their production is before you ever pick up the call? Because again, the numbers vary significantly on what production is. All realtors are not the same. They don't do the same amount of business. It's very specific. And even if the realtor does business, if you can verify the fact that that realtor does business, do you have any idea if they control any of the business that they're in front of? Are they focused more on buyers, or are they focused on listings? Do they have a team of people that support them, or are they part of a team in support of somebody else? Does the company or the branch that they're working for have a committed relationship already with somebody, in the mortgage industry, or maybe more than one? We all know that the propaganda and the myth behind the quote unquote 3-card law that says, realtor must give out 3 cards. We all know no such law exists anywhere. But the reality of it is it manages to propagate itself throughout the industry as if it really were true. And so that always becomes, a thing that we have dealt with, and a misinformation that some of us in the industry try to correct. How many people like that are out there in those committed relationships? And again, better people tend to be surrounded themselves with better people. They probably already have a committed relationship. And what are you possibly going to do or say that is going to change that reality? The other thing is if it's on social media and all these people are seeing it and sharing it and saying it, and we're filling up, Zoom calls and training events and all these other stuff going on there, how many loan officers are out there doing the exact same thing that you're trying to do? I remember years ago, it was a thing where we went through this, and loan officers were out there calling, and realtors were saying they were getting 5 or 10 phone calls a day, and they just wished it would stop. And I'll be honest with you, I see the pain in something like that, because it is every call that comes in, every voicemail that's left consumes time from somebody else. With it's, again, let's face it, it's not a very popular or pleasant way to be approached, if you're anybody, being a cold call. I mean, we all go crazy with do not call lists. We all go crazy with people who are calling us. They're now put in the phone, as potential call center calls. I mean, how many times do you need your car warranty extended? How many people are calling to fix your computer? I mean, the reality behind all of this stuff is it's annoying. You don't have a purpose to call. You're basically intruding in somebody's life and causing them to waste their time, if nothing more than just deleting you. And in the future, should you come across that realtor, you may not have a chance of building a relationship with that person because they're annoyed with you from having made the spam phone calls in the first place. And the other part is if you're picking up the phone and you're going to call somebody, what are you possibly going to say in the first 10 seconds of that call that's going to provide instant value to that particular person, where they're even interested at all in listening to the rest of what you would have to say? And this is just the beginning, to be honest with you. There are other issues, beyond these questions. For example, how long did you spend compiling the list of the hundreds of realtors that you're going to pick up the phone and call? How long did it take to do that? How many people are on your target list? How long is it going to take to make those calls each day? I mean, those are important questions. How many calls are you going to make to each agent? And when are you going to make them? Are you just going to call them one and done and never call them back and follow up? Are you going to have a follow-up regimen? Is it going to be something that you do over time? What's the plan for that, and why? How much time are you investing in doing that? And just think to yourself, is this the highest and best use of my time? And the answer is probably not. It may be the only thing you can think to do, which is sad. There are plenty of other ways of generating opportunities. Cold calling realtors would certainly make my do not list, as opposed to any list that I would create to get out there and try to get in front of people, especially this time of year. And what is my expected cost? All these things considered, taking the time out to think if this is a good idea, thinking about what I'm going to say, identifying the targets, making the calls, compiling the list, doing the follow-up. How much time and how much of my treasure is it going to take to put forward this effort? What would be a reasonable effort? And what are my anticipated results? Because you'd better think these things through before you go down that path. Now, don't get me wrong, realtors can be a solid source of loan opportunities. We absolutely know that. But unfortunately, there are not as many solid sources of opportunity in the whole market that you're out there in front of, for some of the reasons that I've already spoke to. You can check yourself and see about 10% of the agents in your marketplace do about 90% of the business. And many of those top flight people either already have teams, already have relationships, how they got there. They probably have committed relationships or multiple committed relationships to getting in there. So when you're making those quote unquote 100 phone calls a day to get out there, is it really worth it? Who are you calling just to call and make it feel like you've accomplished something? I mean, maybe it's, something that'll work for you. Maybe it is. But as I've talked to any number of times, yes, realtors are a great source of business. They're a great resource of business, but you have to employ strategies working together to generate opportunities. And if you're not going to find somebody that's willing to put in some work to work these plans and to work the strategies that make sense, then you're just really just hoping to get out in front of something, and you could just walk up and down the street and hand people your business card, and you're just as likely, maybe even more likely, to run into somebody that needs a loan versus somebody that can calling a realtor that may have an opportunity at that exact point in time that they'd be willing to put you in front of. Again, it all comes back down to is having a plan about diversifying where your opportunities come from. And as always, if you need help with that plan, it's Mike at imtcoaching.com. Talk to you again next week. Take care.